Welcome to this week's video. This is something that we hadn't done before, but I wanted to show everybody the process that I have to go through every week before I start getting ready for the next race. So that's kind of the process that I go through every week before I can even start prepping the car for the next weekend. So now that we got through that, let's get into the race recap. We went over this past Saturday morning, and like I said in my previous video, we changed everything on this car. Suspension-wise, we changed just about as much as you could change on it. Between Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, I probably changed 6 or 7 shocks and 5 or 6 springs, trying to get the car dialed in and moving angles on stuff, and it just seemed like I was getting closer and closer. But a lot of times, the harder you try to get to a certain point, if you go over that point, you have to back up to it. And the reason that's relevant is I'll get to that in a minute when I get to telling you about the race. Saturday morning, like I said, I got the car where I thought we were close. The key to Saturday morning is you can't, if you get the car really good on Saturday morning, when you come over Saturday afternoon, it could be totally different. Saturday morning, you've got so many cars over there practicing. It's between 10 and 12 on Saturday morning. It's the heat of the day. It's really slick. So it can give you a false reading for where your car needs to be. So I got to a certain point and I said, okay, let's stop. When we get back this afternoon, we'll make some changes and we'll try to get the car dialed in. So when we got back over there, we changed a whole bunch of stuff. We changed, like I said, 6 or 7 shocks and springs, and just, the thing about that is it makes it tough on you because you have to do some measuring. When we put the car on scales and we leave here, our wedge, it determines how tight your car is going to be, is the best way I know how to explain that to you. If you check a frame height and then change a spring and put that frame height exactly back to that same spot, it's a 90% chance that your wedge is going to stay where it was when you left the shop, when you took it off the scales. Changing 6 or 7 shocks and springs, you take a chance on losing a little bit or gaining a little bit here or there, because a 32nd of an inch can make a difference in your wedge. So that being said, we made all the changes. We tried to use our best judgment to try to get the car where it needed to be. When I went out to practice, it seemed like the car was actually handling pretty good. By the time we practiced the second practice, the tires that were on the car were the ones that I ran in the 100 lapper the week before. I practiced on them Saturday morning and I practiced on them twice Saturday afternoon. So we were getting to the point where the tires were basically shot. So at that point, I just kind of decided we need to stop making changes and just stick with what we got. When qualifying came around, we basically did the same qualifying prep that we usually do as far as our stagger and that kind of stuff. We added a spring rubber here or there and tried to make a couple, minor adjustments. I went out and I qualified second. The pole was a 39 and I ran a 45. The car was actually too tight for me for qualifying, so I feel like knowing that now, hopefully going into next week, we can make the adjustments that we need to make to get the car to turn where I can hopefully get back on the pole. It was nice being back up on the front row again. I feel like our car is really close to where it needs to be. The blue car was on the pole, we were outside, and I think Jason was about 5th. So after we got going, I think the blue car is one of the hardest cars to beat from the outside, and he probably feels the same way about me, just because we've been around a long time and we've been in that situation so many times. So after we got going, I got in line in 2nd, and we raced for a while and had a caution. After we got back green, I could really beat him getting into the corner, but my car was too free, which is actually a good thing for us because we've been tight in the past. So the fact that my car was free goes back to what I was explaining to you earlier about when you cross that point and you have to back up to it. Well, we crossed that point and our car was too loose in the race. So now that we know that, that's the thing about racing. You can adjust it in the shop. You can do this, you can do that, and you can even practice it. But until you actually go out and race, you don't know exactly where you're at until you put your new tires on and the race gets going. So knowing that we were too free, we can back up and adjust the car to that and get it a little bit tighter. So going back to where I was is I could really beat Tim getting in the corner, but it seemed like off the corner he was getting a lot better grip than I was. So I was trying to use that to my advantage by beating him getting into the corner because I was losing what I gained off the corner. So we got down, there was a couple laps left, and we started catching the back of the field, so that allowed me to gain ground on Tim as he had to, maneuver his way around the lap traffic. And like I said, I could beat him getting into the corner, so when we took the white flag, going into turn 3, I was able to gain a lot of ground getting in, and I was able to give him enough of a shot to get him out wide and drive under him. And I know by now, I think the video made Facebook and YouTube before we even left the racetrack Saturday night. So if there's any doubt, any question about how exciting the finish was, just pull it up on YouTube or Facebook and check it out. But basically what happened is we were coming door to door down the front stretch. We were just both digging as hard as we could, banging off of each other, and we got close to the line. He turned down to give himself an advantage to cross the line before I did. We were just both going as hard as we could. It's a dramatic finish, sliding across the line, and at that time I didn't know who won the race. I was asking my spotter if I actually won the race, and truly we didn't know until me and Tim both drove back around and they handed the checker flag to him. After seeing it, I think he beat me by about that much. So even though we finished 2nd, even though it didn't turn out exactly like we wanted to, the fact that my car is back to where it needs to be, where I can hustle the car and try to win some races, it's sad. I'm kind of saddened by the fact we've only got 4 weeks left because I feel like that we're really close to where we need to be. So at this point, we've lost points. A couple weeks ago in the 100 lapper when I started last, the 2nd race this week, we were riding around under caution about 5 or 6 laps on the board, and I actually broke a rear end mount, and that sidelined us for that race. The upside to that is that's the first DNF we've had in about 3 years over there. So that's a testament to how hard we work and how, thorough we are when we go over our car. What happened was a freak thing. It's nothing anybody could have done. It's just one of those things that happens. But like I said, at this point, we're far enough back into points where, I'm cheering hard for Jason to try to get up there and get his first title. But at this point, we're going out to win races. Points are irrelevant to me. I'm going to do everything I can to win these last 4 weeks. It's funny, you have a whole different mindset about the way you do things. Not that it makes you good or bad, but when you're chasing points, or you're not chasing points, but when you're focused on the points and trying to win the race, but also trying not to hurt yourself in the process, it gives you a whole different mindset about how you need to approach that weekend. Where I am now is kind of like it's like a free-for-all. We're going to go out and try as hard as we can to win the race, and that's enough said. I mean, I'm going to do whatever I can in my means to win the last 4 weeks. So this weekend coming up, we got the Twin 50s. They're always exciting. I'm glad to see that they're mixing up some of these Twin 50s to replace some of the Twin 25s. The Twin 50s, they qualify, draw the top 6 for the first race. The winner will invert the MADHOUSE scramble for the 2nd race, and they put the cone out during the caution. So it makes it really exciting. But a couple weeks coming up, We got the tour race, so that's one that I've won twice and finished second the last 2 years. So that's one that I've got my eye on this year. So thanks to everybody for coming out. Thanks to everybody that watched these videos. Please share them with everybody. Thanks for the good response on the trivia question after I had to put myself in a stack of tires to get some response. Thanks to everybody that's responding and sharing these videos. And I hope to see everybody at the track. Forgot what I was going to say. How'd you say it again? Dang, this is kind of what we go through. Is that how you said it? I like that. I like how you put that. This is kind of what we go through.
All right, memorable, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what we go through.